Yes, sorry for the very long introduction. Hello, I'm Brad. How you doing? Um, Again, working in the library, trying to get audio levels the right way. All right, there we go. It's about as loud as I'm going to be able to be. It seems like it's okay. Yeah, Third Eye by Tool. Um, it's kind of a story talking about how we all come from the same place. We all come from the Big Bang. Um, and we need to kind of like try to use our third eye to understand the interconnectedness of not only like our species but our species to others, our species to the planet, and so forth. So yeah, Third Eye by Tool. Also, really amazing opening with Bill Hicks in there as well. So rest in peace, legend Bill Hicks. And Montreal Player gave me this article yesterday, and I wanna read through it. So we're gonna probably a short stream today. Um, I wanted to talk about this. I wanted to cover an article in Jacobin by Megan Day about India Walton and what's going on in Buffalo, and I wanted to read through A Harvest for the World, a Black Family Farm is Fighting Racism in Agriculture and Climate Change. After we get through these, we'll kind of see what would go from there. How y'all doing? Good to see you. All right, coffee, and we go. Okay, so sand mafias in India. From Montreal Player. Why does an illicit market for sand exist in the first place? Worldwide, sand is the most exploited natural resource. Water is the most consumed and the most traded commodity by weight. It's the most heavily mined commodity, accounting for 85% of global mining activity. It's used to make concrete, cement, glass, ceramics, and electronic devices. The demand for sand is expected to rise with world population. The United Nations estimated that by 2030, the world will have 40 megacities. Those with a population of 10 million or more, as opposed to 31 currently. Urbanization will accelerate as young people migrate to towns in search of employment. Well, this was prior to COVID. It's still probably going to come to fruition, but right fitting for that intro. I'm gonna look through this one. Yeah, we'll be tying this one into when we cover this article. Oh, the sand thing. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, I'm always just a metalhead. Um, I don't know. Like that's the type of music that resonates with me. I don't like screaming metal. I like metal that can be understood. Okay, so demand for sand in India will continue to rise rapidly if efforts are made to follow through on wildly unrealistic government pledges to provide housing to all citizens by 2022. This is weird framing. It's estimated that 110 million housing units will have to be built by that time, including making up a shortage of 60 million units that existed as of 2014. Can anybody out there look up any kind of data with how India is actually doing on reaching some of these goals? Attention on sand mafias has increased since around 2013 to the present, partly because of increased coverage of the phenomenon in the Indian media. India's economic boom years in the mid 2000s led to a surge in demand for housing, and this in turn drove up the demand for sand. In itself, extraction of sand for construction is not a severe problem due to gradual natural replenishment of riverbeds and deltas. Rather, the issue is the scale at which it occurs. If supply is to meet demand, illicit mining is seen, at least by some, as a necessary evil. Illicit means unlicensed, or where the extraction process breaches restrictions provided by a mining license issued by the authorities. The increasing violence associated with both kinds of illicit sand mining now makes it a law and order threat. Since the late 1990s, when Indian police cracked down on elements of the Mumbai Mafia for supporting jihadist terrorism, traditional extortion-based organized crime has been migrating to the real estate market. It was the case in Mumbai, as well as Bangalore, so sand mafias are connected with the land mafias. Only the beach sand mafia deals routinely with overseas business partners and therefore represents a fusion of transnational and organized crime. Land mafias do not smuggle a commodity, but seize well-located real estate from its original inhabitants or occupants. Threats of violence are issued to coerce the inhabitants' occupants to vacate the property, so it can be used for a lucrative construction project. Then the sand mafia comes in as suppliers for material for the construction. Although no ethnographic studies are known to have been conducted, it's reasonable to hypothesize that both sand and land mafias recruit from a common demographic of low-level muscle men. I would have literally never known about this. So thank you, Monty. I kind of got a good night of sleep last night, but it was in the driver's seat. Yeah, I have a place to stay Monday night, and my mother, the kind lady that she is, we disagree on so much, and you're wonderful, but we're going to continue to fight over those disagreements. However, she is actually offering to get me a hotel one night too, so I might even have a hotel for a night. The special case of the beach sand mafia in Tamil Nadu. Across India, illicit sand mining from rivers and deltas is a free-for-all to make fast money, provided one is prepared to bribe local officials and threaten or eliminate others, all while facing down violent competition. Yo. Sorry, I can't be making fun of this kind of stuff, but, like, these people are actual gangsters. Sorry, I need to just mature and grow up. Gangsterism's not funny. Different dynamics operate with sand mining from beaches, where rare earths are extracted for export. Just after the mirror panel stuff, a podcast you listen to posted a peak sand episode. Really fucking weird. Yeah. I would have just never known. Rare earths smuggled from Tamil Nadu are destined for foreign markets, primarily North America and Europe. Among them is suspected to be monazite, a strategic mineral that is banned for export since it can be used to manufacture thorium for nuclear programs. Sand mafias in India, like organized crime actors everywhere, invest in cultivating a political roof. They're helped by two constitutional provisions. Under India's federal system, the management of natural resources and the maintenance of public law and order are responsibilities of the provincial government. Certain mineral-rich states, like Odisha in the central part of the country, appear heavily controlled by an alleged politics-business alliance. A 2009 media report found the government departments tasked to stop illegal iron ore mining were chronically understaffed. Kind of sounds like the IRS in the United States. The mining activity is sustained by the group's capacity for violence. Thus, the Chambal River Valley in the Madhya Pradesh province, a region with a long history of rural banditry, has become one of the deadliest locations for sand mining. The mafia in this part of India is brazen because Madhya Pradesh is a political backwater where little attention is paid to open defiance of law enforcement personnel. Here, both of the two largest parties, the center-right Bharatiya Janata Party and the center-left Indian National Congress, are viewed by local NGOs as equally complicit in sand mining. No, I don't accept the criticism of large scale. Hang on, I'm not exactly going to accept this criticism because these are solvable issues. Actually enforce law or draft new, like these are. Let me read back through your comment here. Yeah, I'm just looking at this as like a breakdown of law and order and upkeep rather than I would say rather than anything else. So the Bharatiya Janata Party, also the ruling party in India now, and the center-left Indian National Congress are viewed by local NGOs as equally complicit in sand mining. See, there's your issue. The issue isn't anything with the scale of what they're like trying to attempt or so forth. The issue is just corruption. From my position. Uttar Pradesh, the country's most populous province and arguably the most important politically, has been the site of several murders purportedly connected to sand mining. An under-resourced police force coupled with a tradition of violent conflict between different castes and religious communities provides a favorable backdrop for silencing witnesses. A local politician's son was accused of burying alive 2 children who'd stumbled along an illicit sand mining operation. Large-scale protests caused the police to register a case, but the family of the accused man alleged he was being scapegoated in a caste vendetta. Rising sand prices are creating a chain of mafia-like violence as career criminals first get drawn into taxing the business, then fight to seize one another's turfs. The abundance of the sand supply depresses profit margins and provides an incentive for government ministers to stay one step removed from the illicit extraction side of the business. Instead, they indirectly patronize it by maintaining close ties with their client base, the builders who purchase illegally and extra legally mined sand. These builders sit atop large construction companies that undertake infrastructure projects, offering multiple opportunities for corruption. In return for donations to political parties, the builders exploit their proximity to policymakers and thus deter law enforcement personnel from pursuing them. In Karnataka, numerous complaints filed by village leaders have been ignored by local authorities. Sorry, I'll be fast on my phone. An average of 16 cases were registered daily by the province's Department of Mines and Geology against sand miners. They were not followed up and witnesses were pressured to withdraw their statements. Violence and intimidation in the illicit sand industry of disorganized crime. It's a motley collection of actors who extract sand either illegally or extra-legally. In one case in Madhya Pradesh, the government attempted to transfer a district administrator named Hirish Sharma, who took rather too literally a formal directive to investigate illicit sand extraction. He submitted a report that a state-owned company was using a private firm to conduct extra-legal mining. Opposition politicians seized on the report, and the ruling party tried to bury the matter by dispatching Sharma to a new post. When he obtained a court order canceling his transfer, the government divested him of responsibility for any further surveys. Northern and central India have a more entrenched gun culture and tradition of violent, albeit mostly disorganized criminalities in the South. Attacks on law enforcement are more common in those regions. There are multiple criminal interests who may wish to eliminate troublesome police officers. In the Dar and Dewar districts of Madhya Pradesh, illegal arms manufacturing factories sell weapons to gangs within and outside the province. Sand mafias in Madhya Pradesh, as well as neighboring Uttar Pradesh and Maharashtra, have been brazen enough to burn investigative reporters to death. Threats and violence are also used against local NGO workers who track patterns of the illicit mining. The police in such cases do not seem to take victim complaints seriously, and sometimes pay greater heed to counter complaints fabricated by sand mining contractors. Sumaira Abdul Lali has been assaulted by members of the sand mafia. Although there's insufficient data to reach a definitive conclusion from media reports, it appears that hired hoodlums working for sand mining routinely threaten and injure but rarely kill women. The instances where deliberate killing is suspected involve male journalists, farmers, and activists. In this manner, the mafias try to avoid attracting the attention of women's rights groups. Three measures could be taken would be a website for tracking illicit sand mining, as well as other kinds of resource-related organized crime could be set up and hosted by an Indian think tank or journalism. Travel and research grants could be provided to investigative reporters to provide in-depth stories on organized crime, and the Indian public could be roused from its general stupor. It may be useful to emphasize revenue losses that are created by illegal sand mining. This was their entire report. I mean, my gun stances are very simple. When the state lays down their arms, I'll consider laying mine down. I'm probably still not even going to then. But until then, fuck off. Is kind of is usually my stance. All right, so yeah, I'm gonna read that part. I think that we already got these parts up here. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Monty. So I've always been a it's probably the biggest disagreement with certain members of my community that I have. I think that my community probably agrees with me about the most of my positions. But I know that a good amount of them don't agree with me about guns. That's fine. Okay, so we know what the sand mafias are. We kind of went through that part. So, businessman heads the beach sand mafia in Tamil Nadu has something to lose. His commercial empire, its organizational structure would be easy to trace and break up if the provincial government decides to move against it. Tamil Nadu is culturally different than Uttar Pradesh and Madhya Pradesh, where extreme poverty and violence make it easier to muzzle the local media. The preferred tactic of harassment in the country's south is to take the legal route and drain troublesome journalists' finances in lengthy litigation, which could also jeopardize their job security. No tolerance is extended for an ordinary person who agrees to be interviewed by journalists. A relatively innocuous mention of sand mining seems sufficient to earn a sound thrashing. Are for the argument that says defense against tyranny is preposterous because local I mean tyranny can happen from your aunt, it can happen from your neighbor, it can happen from your business, it can happen from your local government, it can happen from your federal government, it can happen in a lot of different places. What I was about to say is, are we going to be doing oh no, the chip shortage is from rare earths and not enough water in Taiwan, in addition to everything needing chips and global supply chain breakdowns. So we're actually not. What's up, Lou? Lou, I'm sorry. I don't think this is touching into the chip shortage. This is just one little weird niche thing that we stumbled into from yesterday because we were looking at Heliogen, which wants to build mirrors to beam sunlight up to a central focal point to between 1,000 and 1,200 degrees Celsius, and then transport that heat down into bedrock or rock material to then allow that heat to be used to over-pressurize and heat up carbon dioxide to allow the carbon dioxide to pass through some kind of special little thing that's not that special or not that little, to then turn a turbine, to then use that turbine to undergo hydrolysis or electrolysis to separate hydrogen from water, liquefy the hydrogen, and then pump fuel out. Yeah, you're right, Monty. Okay, so what I was gonna say is, are we eventually gonna be doing a fundraiser for me to go to southern India to try to cover the sand wars? Because, like, not gonna lie, I'm kind of fucking down. If I ever make it to India, I know what I want to go do. With Taiwan, we have trade issues with China. They told Taiwan if they oh, interesting. Okay, so is it actually a diminishing resource? Let's take a peek here. Why does an illicit market for sand exist? Worldwide, it's the second most exploited natural resource, the most traded commodity by weight, 85% of global mining. It's used in electronic devices, glass, ceramics. Hello, preachings. No, I didn't see this. I'll have to look into it. Inside Exxon's playbook. We'll add that into today's reports. So we extract 40 billion tons per year. Only 15 billion is thought to be legally traded for a market value of $70 billion. The remainder is believed to originate from illicit mining. Wow. Over half of it is illegally mined? Sand can contain rare earths depending on where it originates, including ilmenite, which can make titanium for nuclear and aerospace industries. Sand used for construction is mostly riverine origin. Desert sand is unsuitable for construction work, being too rounded by wind erosion to act as bond in cement. The overwhelming weight of industry's demand falls on riverine, coastal, and inland deposits. They can take thousands of years to form. Sustainable mining is essential. However, global urbanization rates have placed unprecedented strain on what are now recognized as finite sand reserves. Okay, I haven't finished through the article yet. I'm not saying that they're incorrect. I understand water is a scarce resource. I understand lithium. I understand uranium. I get these things. It's hard for me to imagine that we've got a sand shortage problem. I'm going to read through the data. We're going to get to it. But this one is hard for me to accept. Half the world demand for sand is now driven by China. Oh, Singapore is importing a lot of sand to build new islands. Hey, Usain Bolt, leave my channel. I don't care for people that have an 11-hour-old account. Whether or not you're correct about the propaganda aspect, that's a different question. But come on. Come back on your original name. Wow. Worried about their own needs. Its neighbors have banned sand exports to the country. Vietnam is concerned. I will in a week and a half when Twitch unbans you. Okay. Well, if that's the case, I mean, you can sit here, but you can watch the stream, but sorry. Not allowed to do ban evasion either. I'm not going to get banned because I'm letting you do a ban evasion. Okay, so Vietnam is actually concerned that their sand reserves might run out as early as 2020 due to transnational smuggling. Is Vietnam running out of sand? This just feels like bullshit to me. Okay, so this part I do get. So they're saying that desert sand is too smooth and thus cannot be used for construction. My question here would be, Monty, and maybe you all can look this up while I'm reading these articles. Can you use desert sand to make mirrors? So can the very rounded, smooth desert sand be used to make glass and or mirrors? Because I don't know. I don't know. So if anybody wants to look that up and find out, because then that would at least then I don't have to, be the autocrat and ban mirrors in residential homes, or, only allow people to have X amount of mirror. This is just insane to me. I didn't think 36 hours ago I was going to be talking about a global sand shortage. Just wait until I try to go into a conservative channel and talk to them about we're depleting the planet's sand at a faster rate than we can replace them at. If they didn't think that I was a little bit unhinged before. Wow, they're saying it's one of the greatest sustainability challenges of the 21st century. Okay, can somebody also... mirrors are not made from sand. they're made from metal. It's metal over glass. BBQ. Oh, let me say hi to everybody. Shit, I wanted to ask somebody a question. Okay, here's my question. Can anybody find out if hempcrete still requires sand? Does hempcrete still need sand? I'm gonna say hello to everybody really fast. So hello, Pepper Papper and Spread It Forward. Thank you for being here early. Monty, thank you for the links and the topic to dive down into. Biohaz, hope you're doing all right. Hello, Myelin. 10p2, good to see you. You lurk in here a lot. I really appreciate it. Preaching, hey there. Kosa, BBQ House, Comet Girl, 2222. Okay, I think that was all it. Yeah, hemp concrete. Yeah, so hempcrete is it gets created at much lower temperatures. It uses a lot less energy inputs. It has good strength and resiliency. But I'm just curious if that still uses. Oh, thank you for the host, Comic Girl. Okay, so the comment from Monty: there are literal organized crime cartels terrorizing and murdering people for it. Chances are there's a motive, and that the people are doing it are more familiar with the supply-demand dynamics. Well, what? How is this true? Okay, how is this sentence true? Right here. Are you really trying to tell me that over half of one of the world's largest markets is a black illicit market? Black market illicit market? 29 and 30 down in their citations. Some estimates suggest the volume is 50 billion tons a year, which is twice the replenishment rate of all river sand. Oh my fucking god. Fuck me. Concrete is 75% sand. The concrete used to build a house takes an average of 200 tons of sand? The concrete used to build a house takes an average of 200 tons of sand. I didn't need this today. Touring News Sandark. This shit's wild. I haven't covered a story that like actually blew my mind in a very long time. Like, I don't know. I feel like we're equipped to handle most things. This is, I don't know. Something about it's weirdly comical to me. I apologize. Okay, you think it depends on the silica content if all you're doing is melting it down, but BBQ Haas says they're not made from sand, they're metal. Yeah, I don't really know about mirrors, I suppose. It looks like desert sand can make glass. Yeah, I am sand-pilled today. What the fuck? Could be sand from the deserts. Ooh, a new material uses abundant, smooth-grained sand and a secret binder to reduce the carbon footprint of construction. Nice. Okay, I'm going to peek that in just a moment here. Does hempcrete use sand? Yeah, it still is, huh? Damn. Oh no, it doesn't. It doesn't work that way though, Clydeson, because the desert sand isn't. It's too smooth. But yes, that is the plan. Not according to this recipe. Oh, right there. Here. For floor slabs, a more hydraulic lime is used and sand is added to improve strength and water resistance. So it kind of appears. Okay, I mean, okay, so you could make the blocks without it, potentially. But the blocks wouldn't be strong enough for housing unless you add the sand. I think. What proportion? I don't know these answers. There's a lot that isn't concrete recycled, not to my knowledge. The high silica content present in hemp shives makes it easy for the raw materials of the blocks to bind together. I don't know if you could, Mylan, because you're not going to return them to. You're not going to return them to sharp edges. Oh, right here. The lime, which is used in the mixture as a binder, hemp hurd contains a high silica content. Okay, so maybe it is a little bit better. I need to get a hempcrete expert to tell me if they're using, how much sand they're using. I thought that I was going to have like a short, simple, easy stream today. And now my warm-up song is definitely, I'm taking it from Mariano Rivera. Rivera's retired. So now we're going to have to walk out to Enter Sandman. Okay, which article were we even on? Let me try to like get back into like one thing at a time here. Okay, we were on page 7. I don't know. I don't know I don't even know the question that I'm trying to ask. Spread it forward. Wait, India's demand for sand will be 1.43 billion tons by 2020, but official statistics for 2014-15 revealed that the country was only producing 2.1 million tons. Even allowing for exaggeration, that doesn't work. Wow. Huh. I'm just stretching. Yeah, I was maybe it's all propaganda from Big Portland Concrete. I saw that part about the hempcrete, but I think you have to add in, like, I think that this is for a paver, but I don't think that it's strong enough for homes. Oh, see right here. Here. For floor slabs, a more hydraulic lime is used and sand is added. So I guess like my initial thinking here is hempcrete is better in certain applications because you might not have to use sand for every creation of hempcrete. Dude, I've read white papers on this stream before. Um, I guess it's time to return. Cementitious binders. Actually, we can go right to page 11. And then page 22. Well, actually, let's just do it this way. Sand comes up 9 times. That's not it. That's talking about Roman cement. That's talking about Roman cement. Roman cement again. Okay, sand isn't mentioned in the entire hempcrete paper as a binding agent for hempcrete on this one. Interesting. That's the slab for stability. It's for the walls and the roof. For the slab or the bottom of the house where everything goes, yeah, it makes sense to add it. Interesting. One mile of freeway is 85,000 tons of sand. Not like this. I gotta send a funny DM to somebody. I was talking to Milk Tea Leninist Melanie. I'm not exactly sure what their Twitter handle is at the moment. This is only going to be like a quick derail. A video came out on. By the way, also, has anybody ever watched Zero Books? I should have shouted this out many times before. Douglas Lane of Zero Books is really fucking smart. Like, really, 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 really just incredible. Check out Zero Books. Check out Douglas Lane. Just really, really good person. Really informative and informed. Okay, so the reason that I reached out to Mel today was Lex Friedman had this person on, Yeonmi Park, a North Korean defector, and I don't know anything about North Korea. So I asked Mel if they'd be able to go through this and then kind of like teach me and inform me. So, but then Mel asked me a question about climate issues, and we were talking about the climate issues a little bit, and now I'm going to text them and be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're running out of sand too. Just as kind of like a a fun little... Okay, back to work. So overall, hempcrete better than concrete on sand consumption. Okay, do we have any more digging to do on the sand story? That's bookmarked. This is bookmarked. We covered that. TED Talk about a global sand shortage. I wonder how many times this has been viewed. Is this the world's least viewed TED Talk? 21,000 views. I think it's one of the least viewed ones. Alright, bookmark that. I really didn't know this about Vietnam. They're looking at producing artificial sand. Oh god. With hemp, there's a soil problem from the other day. Sounds like a pretty rad idea regardless. Yeah, hempcrete is being used more and more and more. Looks like concrete can be recycled, but there's possible issues with strength. Why not recycled concrete? I mean, I guess you could use it for sidewalks, right? Rather than like use it to build a home, just build a sidewalk potentially. Um, Israel's only bottle factory turns desert sand into mountains of glass. Okay, that's good. What what are heliogen mirrors made of? How heliogen works. Oh god. Of course. Bill Gates funded it. Oh man. Now I'm gonna have to go to conservatives and say like, man, I really like this heliogen technology, and then the first thing that they're gonna look up is like, where does the money come from? And then it's gonna be Bill Gates, and then it's just gonna be an entire it's just gonna be an entire thing. Fucking A. God damn it. He's everywhere. Yes, rest in power. From the United States, what's USGS, Geological Services? Mineral commodity summary. Crushed stone, the other major construction aggregate, is often substituted for natural sand and gravel, especially in the more densely populated areas of the eastern U.S. Remains the dominant choice for construction aggregate use. Recycled asphalt and Portland cement concretes are being substituted for virgin aggregate. Okay. Yeah, preachings, you're right there. They harvest sand from Monterey Bay in NorCal because of grandfather clause laws. Interesting. 99% of people you ask don't know that concrete is the second biggest producer of CO2 in the world. Yeah. Where was that article about 200 tons of sand for one house? Holy shit. 3,000 tons for a hospital. Well, the stuff from Death Valley isn't going to work as much because it's too smooth. So you have to get coastal or river sand. Man, I actually kind of want to troll people and change my Twitter profile too. I talk about sand. I mean, I would only do it for a day and nobody would get it except the nice group of people that's here right now. But something about this is just, this is the strangest story that I've covered this year, I think. If you put it in a mixer with a strong acid, it would be good, you're pretty sure? Sharp sand is a term they use in the industry. Um, okay, so I don't think there's really anything else here. I wanted to. There were two other big things that I wanted to cover today. One is going to be what's going on in Buffalo. If desert sand can be used to make mirrors, then the Sahara probably has an Alaska-sized hole the world could use for power. Yeah. What kind of... Well, here, let's look this up. What kind of sand is used for mirrors? Oh, God. Wait. So, silica rich. Here, let's try this. Can you use smooth sand for mirrors? Mirrors are just glass with a thin layer of precipitated metal. Well, I wonder, can anybody find out what Heliogen's mirrors are made of? Or like any kind of yeah, we need to find the chemical composition of what these mirrors are. Oh, interesting, Mylan. Thank you, Socialist Audiophile. Okay. Yeah, so the other two things that I wanted to talk about today were India Walton's historic victory in Buffalo needs defending, as a write-in candidate is going to be running against her. And I wanted to read this article about A Harvest for the World, a black family farm is fighting racism in agriculture and climate change. Came out just a couple days ago. Big Sand is a powerful lobby. Who would have knew? Who knew? All right, this is a very long article, but we're gonna go piece by piece through it here. Oh God, comment section. Bill Gates. Okay. In the United States, 46% of sand is used for cement concrete, 21 road base, 13 construction, 12 asphalt, 4 other. Interesting, Hoss. Yeah, we were down this rabbit hole from looking into Heliogen yesterday. I'm going to go out to bars in the next time I go out in Kentucky. Yeah, I'm going to ask people what they think about the big sand industry. Oh, man, I cannot wait to see the looks on people's faces when I start talking about big sand. My brain broke today. I don't know what the fuck happened. I think I'm delirious from lack of sleep over the past couple days. Bill Gates is putting nanochips in our glass. He probably is. Harvest for the world. Link it in if you can. What's up, Barbados? Okay. A heavy snow was falling here in the Taconic mountain range outside Albany when Leah Penniman moved to the farm she bought with her husband. It was the day after Christmas, and she recalled, I cried. They were not tears of joy. They were having second thoughts. I was like, can we just stay in Albany? Her father had left the city's impoverished South End community because it was a food desert devoid of grocery stores with fresh produce or sit-down restaurants, but she worried about losing friends she made there. I wasn't so sure about the rural thing. The tears came when a pile of snow made it impossible to turn around. When I saw we were stranded, I just cried. But as the first seedlings grew at the new Soulfire farm, so did she. Today, Penniman is a leading spokesman for the movement to increase the ranks of black, brown, and indigenous farmers. Hundreds of people are on a waiting list to attend her classes on regenerative farming that reduces carbon emissions and mitigates climate change, refuting a belief that black people and other underrepresented groups do not want to farm. People are blowing up our phones, blowing up our inbox, wanting to come to the farm. Our wait list is hundreds of participants long. No matter how much we offer, everything is maxed out. And I'm curious to look at this book, Farming While Black, Soulfire Farms, Practical Guide to Liberation on the Land. 5-star, 4.9 out of 5, 417 ratings. I'm gonna have to order this. Oh, you found it? Yo, you all are fucking awesome. Oh, man. Within an hour, we've got to the root of Big Sand. Yo, this shit's crazy. It's just, it's really cool what internet communities can come together to do. Damn. Okay, so the mirrors are made of ordinary glass with a silvered back. Uh-oh, Monty. We're gonna have to go after all those silver hoarding libertarians. Oh, wait. Here comes the... Oh, Jesus. Fuck. My God. Anyway. The mirrors are made of ordinary glass with a silvered backing, protected against the elements by a layer of copper and a coating of outdoor paint on the back. The glass is only 3.2 mm thick, as thin as possible for maximum reflectance, but thick enough to withstand a hailstorm. No special materials are needed for the mirrors. Hmm. Well, this is the best article about what they're doing. This is a really good article. The Engineer. Yeah, wow, this seems like a good place. Theengineer.co.uk. Synchronous condensers make a comeback. Offshore wind and the circular econ. Oh yeah, I did. I had an article that I wanted to look into about offshore wind. Um, Big Lobster. I'm just gonna start calling every industry big something. Um, there was there's a wind farm off of the United Kingdom somewhere, and it's one of the first experiments when big wind and big lobster clash, and they were concerned that as they developed the wind farm, the sound pollution was gonna drive away all of the lobsters. But during the construction of the wind farm, and during the moratorium of the lobster fishing, the lobster population actually grew and stayed. So that one I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. Vertical Aerospace. This is a really cool website. Yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to. Hmm. Okay, cool. So back to our farm in the United States. Have I watched Technology Connections heat pump videos? I have not. Okay. A year after the book published, Penniman received a James Beard Leadership Award for her work facilitating powerful food sovereignty programs, including training black and brown people to farm and creating Soul Fire's subsidized farm food program for communities living under food apartheid. According to the 2019 annual report, Soul Fire Farm Institute trained 120 people of color at week-long farming immersions and 905 activists at workshops. The report also said 675 youngsters learned about farming and food justice. That is awesome. So this is Naima Perriman on the left here. This is a pretty simple greenhouse. Looks like metal, Lexan. Actually, no, that's not even Lexan, is it? That's, I can't tell what that is, but it's not Lexan. Four new small farms are in operation partly as a result of the internships. High Hog Farm in Grayson, Georgia. Harriet Tubman Freedom Farm in... in Whitakers, North Carolina. Catatumbo Cooperative Farm in South Chicago, and Sweet Freedom Farm in New York. Why does it keep doing that? Soul Fire's 25 major donors include the Bezos Family Foundation, led by Jacqueline and Miguel Bezos, the parents of Jeff, who owns WAPO. What I'm particularly excited about is the capacity for Afro-Indigenous regenerative agriculture to participate in carbon drawdowns. So we're demonstrating how to capture carbon in the soil using our ancestral methods of no-till and composting. All these fabulous ways of growing food and medicine. Well, the only other good thing that Ron Paul was for was he came out and said, like, why do you think Iran hates you? You overthrew their Shah in 1953, and you've consistently attacked their nation. So, yeah, he had that part right too. But hey, everybody gets something right from time to time. Gravel was better at being against foreign intervention than he was. When she finished her sentence, Penniman shouted to a woman across a row of crops, "Brooke, we have our first potato bug. I'm going to squash it." Oh no. Brooke Bridges, 29 and 7 months pregnant, first heard Penniman speak in 2018 and was so inspired she applied for a job. If she left Soulfire today, she said she could start her own farm with the knowledge she obtained. "I know that the work we do here and the way we farm here is the most sustainable way to farm. No-till, grass-fed chickens running around eating bugs. All of that creates a better environment. I prefer to live like this and farm like this and buy meat down the road from my farmer friend versus going to the grocery store." Penniman is part of a cadre of farmers who are teaching new ways of farming, says Ricardo Salvador, who runs the Food and Environmental Service at the Union of Concerned Scientists. Her efforts with Soulfire Farm are an argument that you don't have to exploit people, you don't have to exploit nature and still produce abundant, nourishing food for communities. She's training people who come to the farm, who take short courses or do internships to rethink access to land. Soulfire staff grows 20,000 pounds of vegetables, fruits, and plant medicine, along with 250 chickens. Soulfire Farm, a cooperative with several owners, is a member of the National Black Food and Justice Alliance, 30 farming and food activist groups run by Dara Cooper. Cooper said that Will Allen, a black agriculturalist and a 2008 winner of a MacArthur Fellowship Genius Award, is a major figure in the black indigenous farming whose operation Growing Power preceded Soulfire Farm by more than a decade. Okay, so they're using plastic mulch. They are cover cropping everything to prevent evapotranspiration. What else do they have going on here? More of the plastic mulch. Okay, so it's Lexan on this part, and then just plastic tarping on that part. What kind of tools do they have? I can't tell what type of tool that is. This is like what would be termed plastic mulch. Basically just, the TLDR, it's a plastic tarp, but it doesn't not biodegrade to my knowledge. Yeah, yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was trying to do when I went to the one project that I was working at. Okay, so yeah, they are using all kinds of cover cropping. Really nice strawberries right here. Fighting discrimination in American farming is central to what the network does, but so is offsetting climate change. I think climate is a main priority. We see that the solutions were inside of directly address climate because one of the greatest contributors to greenhouse gas emissions is industrial ag. Big true right here. Cooper said activists should be wary of lionizing a single person, a mistake the civil rights movement made with the Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., but praised Penniman. There's something very special about Leah. She's a farmer, she's studied, she's brilliant, she's an amazing teacher and educator. Anybody who's attended her talks are fired up and ready to go afterwards. Paul, those are really nice. I wonder what the design thinking was of that angle. I guess the land wasn't flat and they wanted to... I don't know why for that part. Why use plastic as a mulch? It's one of the simpler ways to prevent weeds. So I think the argument of using a plastic mulch like this would be the amount of carbon that you're saving from pesticides and or human labor is more than the amount of carbon used to create the plastic mulch. I think that that's what the main position would be. A weird comment. Farms like a man. Penniman was on her hands and knees planting a row of bok choy when she spotted something wiggling near the lettuce seedlings. There's worms in the soil, there's nematodes in the soil, all kinds of beneficial organisms. Earlier in June, researchers at France's Laboratory of Climate and Environmental Sciences and other institutions across the globe suggested that mass conversion of carbon-rich peatlands for agriculture may have added more than 250 billion tons of carbon dioxide to the atmosphere well before the industrial era. Hey, question for you all. Completely off topic. I'm thinking about going to a baseball game tonight. There's like a Legends baseball field just like down the road or whatever. Would any of you want to watch a baseball game and have me kind of like be the announcer? I haven't played baseball in like 16 or 17 years. But I think it'd be kind of fun to just go, hang out at a baseball park, watch good old American pastime. So if any of you are interested in that, let me know. It would be at about 4 hours from now. Which reminds me, I need to charge my phone. Yes, you will be being in the UK. A Netflix documentary, Kiss the Ground. Yeah, the camera is nice for streaming. Noted the finding that a 1% increase in organic matter in an acre of soil pulls down about 10 tons of carbon dioxide. 1% increase in organic matter in an acre pulls down 10 tons of carbon dioxide. Wow, okay. Kiss the ground. Agriculture is the biggest way humans impact our landscape. Kristen Olsen. Wait, Clydeson, are you still out there? No. Yeah, maybe. If you are Clydeson, I want to set up this Farmcast soon. I think that we have to do like a bi-monthly farm podcast. We have unleashed through agriculture over the centuries millennia of carbon from the land, and now it's part of the legacy and load of carbon dioxide. The writing's on the wall for people who are most vulnerable, Penniman said. Black and brown folks are disproportionately impacted by climate change. Urban heat waves, hurricanes, floods, wildfires not just force people of color from their homes, they're more likely to leave them homeless. The issues of racial justice and climate justice are really connected. This reminds me, I think I liked a tweet. I don't often like too many tweets, but I think I did. Yeah. The plan for climate change in the United States will be like its plan for coronavirus. Let people die. The wealthy will move out of hot places just like they bounced to their second homes during the pandemic, and the poor will be left to languish under extreme temps and militarized police. This is a big true. Yeah, very, very big true. Fuck. The merger of race, wilderness, and farming is more than just a talking point for Penniman. It's her life story. She's the daughter of a Haitian mother and a white father who moved the family. Why does it keep changing like where I'm reading? Who moved the family to a trailer in rural Massachusetts. In the woods, down a dirt road in the middle of nowhere, we were surrounded by pine forests and marshes, tributaries, lakes, and a lot of our childhood was exploring the natural world around our home. Leah Penniman got a job at Many Hands Organic Farm in Barre, Massachusetts, her first taste of urban farming. At Clark University, she studied science and agriculture. Her studies led to a trip with one of her professors to research peasant farming in the Dominican Republic at 19, counting species in agroforest compared to the native forest, birds, lizards, plants. It was all to prove the professor's hypothesis that agroforests created by peasant farmers were more biodiverse than untouched native forests. That's where she picked up her interest in indigenous farming. 3 years later, she traveled to Ghana for 6 months with $200 in her pocket. Wow. She learned about African dark earths that store 200 to 300% more organic carbon than other soils. I've heard of these earths. According to Farming While Black, she learned to raise beds for planting in a way developed by the Ovahimba people of Namibia. They called me Ami Dede. It means Saturday-born, firstborn daughter. They said, Ami Dede farms like a man, and I took that as a compliment. Okay, so there's tying it back into the farms like a man. They frowned on using pesticides. They're toxic to people. And so a big human rights issue we have is farm workers being exposed. Yeah, big time. Do you remember when we watched that documentary about the rubber farmers in Thailand who were having to go out and spray with like something to, was it to kill snakes or to get rid of weeds or something, without really any type of protective gearing? Another way they harm the environment, they not only kill the pests that you want to kill, they're generalists that kill a lot of the beneficial native insects and organisms. This is an amazing place. In 2006, the year that Penniman and Vitaly Wolf bought the land that became Soulfire Farm, they literally dodged a bullet in the south end section of Albany. Their young children, Neshima and Ahmed Vitaly Penniman, were playing near the Grand Avenue apartment when gunshots rang out. In the middle of the day, there's a drive-by, and someone gets shot right over the heads of our children. It was a food desert. It was a historically redlined community near the industrialized banks of the Hudson, deprived of housing loans by city planners and banks. Along with businesses and jobs over decades, it became a haven for violent crime. Neshima and Emmett ran to a neighbor's house. They don't remember the peril. All they recall was that it was the first time they tasted food their parents had refused them, McDonald's French fries. Our neighbor passed them around because that was all she had. I was like, you're lucky to be alive, and that's what you remember. Penniman insists that the shooting is not the reason they left. The constant search for fresh produce wore down their resolve to stay. They joined a few neighbors who used squatters' rights to claim a vacant lot and start a community garden. When it bloomed, the neighbors were amazed. Nice. The 75-acre farm they found was 25 miles east of Albany. The plan was to farm a few acres as part of a community cooperative and leave the rest for wildlife. For 4 years, they remained in the south end as a house was built and the land was prepared for farming. When she started the Ujamaa farm share program in 2011, fewer than 20 families signed up, and doubts filled Penniman as she grew food, delivered vegetables and eggs to families on Sundays, working around my full-time public school science teaching job. It's not the easiest life. I've made a lot of sacrifices of my own health and my family's well-being to respond to community needs and community demands, so I have to really grapple with it. Her doubts started to melt when she made internships and classes available, and the phones started ringing. Okay, so nice seed tray starters here. These appear to be microgreens. Those are some peppers, maybe. Oh yeah, they are micros. People came down the way in Troy from Albany, New York City, Massachusetts, then from Cali, Chicago, Georgia, North Carolina, Puerto Rico. It astounded me because I'd believed the myth that black folks were not interested in farming and brown folks were tired of farming. It's been fascinating to see the passion. Folks coming into farming, yes, they want to make a living, but they're also looking for a way to give back to earth and also give back to community. The story of black people abandoning farms did not start with black people. It started with white people in the federal government, in rural areas, and in bank loan departments pushing them off the land. Black farmers were often refused farm loans that white farmers easily got. Agents for the agricultural department who were supposed to lend a hand did not help. Over time, black people dwindled from a peak of being 14% of American farmers to just 2% now, over the past 110 years. For other underrepresented groups, the numbers ranged from simply better to far worse. Latino farmers constitute slightly more than 3% of farmers, while Asian Americans and American Indians make up less than 2% combined. Together, the four groups represent nearly 40% of the U.S. population. The USDA was forced to pay a settlement as part of discrimination lawsuits in 1999, with others still pending. Penniman also knows that all land in the United States, and by extension all farmland, was originally controlled by native tribes, who used it differently than European settlers and later industrial farmers. They offer a week-long flagship immersion programs for black and indigenous growers. A community workshop is open to those who live nearby. An urban gardening program teaches residents to build raised beds in Albany and Troy. There's carpentry training, beekeeping, mushroom cultivation, soil health. Wow, that is awesome. Okay, so these are going to be for tomatoes. So you need something for your tomato to climb up. And these are the tomatoes down in the bottom. That's your drip hose irrigation. Those are your... I wonder if they keep those there for a long time. They may keep that tarp for a very long time. Recently, both Leah and Naima appeared in an ABC TV special about Juneteenth. Leah has given a speech at Harvard University's Divinity School, participated in a virtual forum. Wow. Karen Washington found Penniman at a Northeast Organic Farmers Association conference in 2010. She was walking in a crowd and felt someone slip a note in her hand. And the note says, "Meet at room 101 to discuss people of color." Washington, 67, was an elder who had mastered urban gardening and did not need to learn how to farm, but she was interested in networking. Farmers' conferences were dominated by white people, and she longed to see familiar faces. So I went to that meeting, Washington said, maybe around 30 of us sitting in a room. As we looked around for the first time, we're in a room, and it's all black folks, all people of color. And that was significant because, like I said, we go to these workshops, and we stick out like a sore thumb. Washington and Penniman bonded that day and have remained close ever since. She's never lost the connection to the ancestors. As young as she is, she's bold, fierce, loving. She has a loving way. Oh, wow. That's really wonderful. When you're with her, you're guided around history. You're guided that the ancestors are there. You know she's on a mission. She's touched by the ancestors. Bet you they leave it there all season. Yeah, I've seen more and more of it on TikTok. I need to get on TikTok and start doing some shit on there. No, don't. Well, you have to go where eyeballs are. And yeah, I mean, I don't whatever. Well, okay. Actually, let me retract my statement. I understand that they collect information. I don't like that they do. I understand that they do. I, at the moment, will give it to them. They already have my biometrics. I've been in Beijing. I've been in Tiananmen Square. I've been in the Lake District. So yeah, they have how I walk, they have my passport, they have my face. Wait, no, take me to Twitter. That was a really good article. I have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't like your account name. So you're on very thin ice with me. The final article that I wanted to read for today was this one in Buffalo. That man, so Soulfire Farm. That's amazing how much education that they're providing, how much carbon they're sequestering, how many workshops they're doing, teaching carpentry and everything. It's wonderful. Okay, this might be our final article for the day. We will see. Okay, back to work. By Megan Day, Buffalo Mayor Byron Brown is launching a write-in campaign against socialist primary winner India Walton. Brown has bipartisan establishment support and organized money. Walton will need the left to rally to her defense. Last week, Democratic Socialist India Walton won the Democratic primary in Buffalo's mayoral race. Socialists and progressives across the country celebrated Walton's victory, which surprised many as the former union nurse had never held political office when she defeated four-term incumbent Byron Brown. The Buffalo mayor's office has been occupied by a Democrat without exception since 1966, so usually winning the Democratic primary seals the deal, with the general election passing by unnoticed. But Byron Brown, the city's longest-serving mayor, is refusing to accept defeat. Brown has now announced that he will run a write-in campaign against India Walton to preserve his office. The left should take the challenge seriously, as Brown's write-in campaign will have friends in high places both within and beyond Buffalo city limits. Walton's primary victory is not contested, but the election was close. Walton had 11,132 compared to Brown's 9,625. Absentee ballots counted over the next week broke heavily for Brown, leaving Walton 1,010 votes ahead. Brown thinks he can win those votes back in a general election in November. Pushing against the idea that voters rejected him and his centrist politics in favor of a democratic socialist agenda, Brown chalks his loss to complacency and says he won't make the same mistake again. Instead, he's going to run a vigorous campaign for a fifth term, and he'll reach out to a wide array of anti-socialist individuals and institutions for help. Write-in campaigns are usually a lark and a fool's errand, but victory with this strategy is not without precedent. In his announcement, Brown made reference to his successful write-in campaign of Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski, who rebounded after defeat from a Tea Party challenger in 2010. He also mentioned former healthcare CEO Mike Dugan's well-funded and successful write-in campaign for Detroit mayor in 2013. In 2005, Michael Jarjura, the mayor of Waterbury, Connecticut, lost his Democratic primary and ran a write-in campaign which allowed him to stay in office. I think in a primary you're dealing with a very limited audience. The Democratic Party has shifted, I think wrongly, too far to the left, and that limited audience does not reflect the majority view of the people of the state of Connecticut. That was very evident in my election. Brown is hoping the same will be true in Buffalo. And Brown has a lot going for him. He'll be campaigning from the highly visible position of mayor for the next several months. He's a well-connected Democrat who supported statewide party establishment, close ally of Cuomo, who chalked Brown's loss up to low turnout rather than a changing political mood. They'll make any excuse they can. There also are plenty of Republican voters in Buffalo who would much prefer The law and order, pro-developer, business-friendly Brown over Walton and might be compelled to turn out for the general. Republican organizations have indicated that they support Brown's write-in campaign, with the chairman of the New York Republican Party saying a lot of people I know are strongly supporting him and urging him to carry on. Walton is a self-described democratic socialist who uses the language of working-class empowerment long missing from U.S. politics. She declared, quote, "All that we're doing in this moment is claiming what is rightfully ours. We are the workers. We do the work. And we deserve a government that works with us and for us." When asked if she was a socialist, she said, "Oh, absolutely. The entire intent of this campaign is to draw down power and resources to the ground level, to the hands of people." Yeah, right. Exactly, Pipper. Her primary victory has alarmed various constituencies with interest in tamping down the socialist electoral insurgency. These include Republicans like prominent conservative pundit Bill Kristol, who publicly suggested that someone should mount a strong challenge to Walton in the general. Also, establishment Dems in New York, who are currently facing an onslaught of progressive and socialist electoral challenges from Congress to the state house. Brown is already leaning on fear of socialism to drum up support for his rebound effort. In announcing the write-in campaign, he said, "We know the difference between socialism and democracy. We're going to fight for democracy in Buffalo. The voters have said that they don't want an unqualified, inexperienced radical socialist trying to learn on the job on the back of the residents of this community. We will not let that happen." Local media, meanwhile, are digging through India Walton's past for anything that looks like dirt, including uncovering an allegation of welfare fraud. The case simply refers to an instance in which Walton, who was a poor single mother in her early 20s on food stamps, failed to report a change in income and was mandated to pay a fine. Walton, not shy about her experience, called it a poor tax. But you can already see the shape of smears to come, meshing fears about radical socialism with stereotypes about welfare queens. Another thing Brown has going for him is organized money. The city's economic elite are on his side, as was evident in the last week of Brown's campaign when the mayor, likely spooked by internal polls, sprang into action and sent an SOS message to big donors. In the week leading up to the election on June 22nd, the Investigative Post's Jeff Kelly reports Brown received over $100,000, including large sums from corporate interests and wealthy individuals, chief among the Regional Chamber of Commerce and several local billionaires, indicating the eagerness on the part of the ruling class to help Brown fend off Walton. After Walton's primary video became apparent, local businessman Carl Palladino said that he would mount a write-in campaign if Brown did not. Presumably, Palladino, a Republican real estate mogul, is satisfied now that Brown has stepped up to the plate, and presumably we can expect capitalists like Palladino to donate handsomely to keep Walton out of City Hall. Brown's write-in campaign is likely to see a large flood of donations from wealthy people and business interests in Buffalo, and given the media attention on Walton's victory, beyond. As Walton herself said in an interview with Jacobin last month, one of the largest challenges we face is that we don't have matching funds that candidates receive in New York City. The incumbent has $1 million war chest. He's going to outspend me. Walton also told Jacobin that she believes that working class people and progressive and socialist political forces can unite together in solidarity to overcome a lot of the challenges that pro-worker candidates are facing. Solidarity paid off in June, and it can in November too. That is, if socialists and progressives step up to defend Walton with the vigor and enthusiasm that rivals that of Brown's ruling class backers. The left should not consider Walton's victory safe, and should instead make a concerted effort to rally to her defense. Otherwise, the forces of reaction might snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. Good article. Very good article. Megan's one of my favorite writers of the moment. So. Nice. I mean, it's not even an expensive subscription, I don't think. It's like $20 a year for Jacobin? supports a pretty. They're not perfect, but they're a pretty good publication. Yeah, $20 a year for what they do is a fair deal. Well, on today's show, we talked about Big Sand. We talked about Soulfire Farm in New York and reconnecting Black and Indigenous and people of color farmers into the education and carbon sequestration of no-till agriculture. I don't think that I have, head of Romaine. And then we spoke about Linda Walton. I might make sure I get the name correct there. India Walton, very sorry. And what's going on in Buffalo. So we're going to begin winding the show down. If anybody liked today's program, or I guess like other content that's been made before, that is the way that you can financially support. You can support with retweets and YouTube subs and Twitter follows and all that kind of stuff on there if you're interested in it. In my off time, I'm going to be going through, when I end stream here pretty shortly. Damn. And now I have more viewers than I had at any point of the show, and here I am about to quit. That's not what you're supposed to do when you're streaming, but, my brain doesn't work in the long ways that it used to before. Off stream, I'm going to be diving into this. Fed reverse repo facility takes in nearly $1 trillion. So it went up to 992 billion in reverse repos. It's a lot of fucking money. It's a lot of money. Watch a minute-long video on making a mirror.